Hi, I'm Pamela Davis, welcoming you to the Reincarnation Chronicle. And remember, I am an investigative transformationalist, looking for ways to find spiritual change in the study of life's great questions. And one of the things that we've been looking at, in fact, our main topic, is reincarnation. And this is a very extensive topic that comprises so many different areas, so many different topics. And we've been looking at, in fact, extensively looking into ghosts and other dimensions. And while we're sort of off planet, as it were, or at least in other worlds, let's have a little examination of Dan Brown's favorite topic, angels and demons. And they're both real. This is one of the problems of our recent history, especially the 20th century and even now. There are so many people who don't believe in demons. They don't believe in angels, never having seen either, presumably. And there's a fabulous movie, and I write movies and I love movies, and so you'll often hear me refer to movies. But the one that I'm thinking of is called The Devil's Advocate, with Al Pacino and who's the other? The Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. And Al Pacino is the head of the world's most extensive and insidious law firm, and he's also the devil. Isn't that just a coincidence? And Keanu Reeves plays the role of a young lawyer who is gradually getting sucked into the devil's web. And one of the things that the devil tells him in a great scene is that his greatest triumph was in the 20th century, when he managed to convince the greatest part of the world that he didn't exist, which of course gave him carte blanche to act with a great deal more freedom than he had ever known. So this is a problem when you're not aware of all of the aspects and dimensions of evil. But also, you have to remember, it's even difficult to think of Satan or the devil and demons as purely evil, which on the one hand and on one level they are. But you have to remember also that we live in a plane of duality. It's a world of material manifestation. And whenever you have the manifestation of matter in the universe, you have duality, or you have polarity. You have day and night, black and white, hot and cold, and you have good and evil. But these are forces that allow us to experience direct consequences of our actions, with a little help from our friends, some of whom are not always so friendly. And if we lived in a white bread world entirely, where we had no warring spirits, as it were, it would be much more difficult to discern the difference between good and evil, between right action and wrong action. And so you have different kinds of spirit entities that really, give us a push, sometimes all too often, to make a choice between what's right and what we should know in the bottom of our heart, what's wrong. So this is part of how we progress forward in dealing with these influences, both within our own minds, our own psyches, and outside influences as well. One of the things, I think I would rather talk first about angels. Angels are very, very real, and there are hierarchies of angels. There's so much written about angelology. A wonderful source is Doreen Virtue, and there are many others. There have been studies of angels since, well, in many cultures for thousands and thousands of years. You'll see angels depicted on the temples of India and in the sacred places in China. The winged beings who are ever present among us. And there are, as I said, there are hierarchies, beginning at the very top with the great planetary archangels like Gabriel, Raphael, and Michael. And then you have other angels in many different at many different levels, going on down to the tiniest angels, which are actually fairies. Fairies could be considered to be in the category of angels. So everybody has at least, well, they have said for a long time that everybody has at least one guardian angel. Actually, people who see them and who are knowledgeable on the topic generally concur that every baby comes into this world with at least 2 guardian angels, and sometimes more. The guardian angels are ever with us. They are ever watchful, ever mindful of our well-being, to the extent that they're able. They cannot countermand our karma, but they can mitigate circumstances. And just now, as I'm speaking to you about this, I remember a particular incident that, well, 2, as a matter of fact, that are very clear in my memory. Many years ago, I was driving in Los Angeles traffic in the middle of a great rainstorm. It was really pretty dramatic. Thunder, lightning, and pouring down rain. And the roads were slippery, and there was quite a bit of traffic. And I was coming up on a traffic signal that had turned red. And I can't remember if I was distracted for a moment or what it was, but I looked up, and it looked to me like I was absolutely headed for the rear bumper of the car in front of me. I just knew that I was going to crash into this car in front of me, and I slammed on the brakes. And all of a sudden, at one point when I just knew the impact was going to be any millisecond, I felt the most extraordinary force pushing back on the car. And I was just barely aware of it. It could have. I had so little time to get my bearings and realize what had just happened. But the car stopped literally about a quarter inch from the car in front of me. There was no way that I was going to stop, except that there was this extraordinary and sudden push on the front of my car to slow me down even more. Now you can say, oh, well, you imagined it, you're into angels, and we can't take this seriously. Well, okay, but I'm sure that I know what happened. There was also another incident, which I think is even more telling. I remember, again, a few years ago, I was in the shower, and I slipped, and I was going down, and I was going to hit on my tailbone so hard. I couldn't save myself. There was nothing to grab onto, and I was in free fall down to crash on the floor of the shower. And all of a sudden, it was though something was holding me up, maybe under my arms, under my butt. I don't know what it was. But all of a sudden, I just sort of landed on the floor of the shower like a feather and didn't hurt myself at all. But again, it was that moment when I felt something else that had that it intervened and spared me what could have been a really not certainly painful fall, but also perhaps an injury, and nothing happened. You'll also, if you pay attention to angels and you begin to think, oh gee, I wonder if I would ever see them. People often will glimpse them at the scene, on the scene of a very serious automobile accident. They will flock there to see what they can do to help either the survivors or to protect and guide the spirits of those who have been killed, and to take them into protection and help them into the other levels. Also to see what can be done for those who are alive, and they will try as best they can to keep them alive until help arrives and they can be gotten to a hospital or something. And even if you've never seen angels before, the next time you pass an accident, which hopefully won't be soon, just take a look and see if you see. Now, you're not going to see Christmas card angels, but you may see you may see hovering orbs of light. You may just get a feeling, and the feeling of angels is something that is so beneficent and powerful and compassionate and kind that it's pretty unmistakable once you become a little familiar with that energy. So the angels can be called upon in times of stress and trouble. There are tales of soldiers in war who suddenly saw angels who guided them to safety, and they've been able to check with their companions and compare notes, if they all saw the same thing. And there are stories of soldiers reporting in the same crisis, reporting having seen exactly the same manifestation and receiving the help that they brought. So angels are the great helpers. They have never, with the exception of the angels that are part of the human soul experience, angels are never human beings. Human beings don't become angels. Angels don't incarnate or reincarnate as human beings. They are in a category by themselves, and they are certainly an extension of divine mind. And when we go a little further, we're going to look in part 2 of Angels and Demons. We're going to look a little bit more at angels and a little bit more about their activities, and then we'll explore the whole question a little bit further. So thank you, and stay tuned for part 2.